Hey guys, and welcome back. Legion here with you again, like always, back doing some more AE2. We are picking up with episode 2 of the multi-part series on AE2. Hopefully you guys checked out part 1 where we talked about world generation, exploring the world, and gathering up a lot of materials we need to jump into this part 2. I'll try to leave an annotation, at least the link down below for you guys to check out part 1 if you missed it. So let's jump right in. So the first block I want to talk to you about is the quartz grindstone. Recipes right here where you can see just take some quartz, either nether or Certus, cobble, smoothstone, gear. Gear is just some wood and that type of pattern, and then a wooden crank, which is some sticks. I already got one put together right here. Nice little interface, and what this is a great early game or doubling mechanic. So hold down right click, just turn the crank a little bit, and you can see now we have 2 pieces of gold dust after we put in 1 gold ore. Now if I right click on this, or press U on this gold ore, you can see there's actually a 90% chance. So it does have a little bit of NEI integration showing what it is, but 90% chance is better than 0% chance. I say it's worth it for your day 1, your day 2 ore doubling, especially those that like to be a little bit more conservative, a little more frugal with their materials. So now we get that out of the way, let's get rid of that. We can move on to the next part of our networking, getting into actually start making the network, and that is the flux crystal. If I click the recipe on here, you actually will tell you in NEI how to make it. So it's 1 charged, 1 nether, and 1 redstone into a puddle, and you'll get 2 back out. So let's do that now. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. And you can see a nice little particle effect, and you'll see 2 jump back into my inventory. Now this flux crystal is a base for building a lot of blocks as we move forward in AE2. So the next thing I want to deal with is charger. Charger's made with iron and that flux crystal we just made, and I happen just to stick it down here on this power source that I'm going to be using, but it's also, you can also use it over there, which we'll talk about in a minute. So what it does is, let's slap it down here, and it takes regular Certus quartz and turns it into charged, hence the name charger. So it doesn't have an interface, it's just right click in, right click out. You can see this one's already charged, and now this one just charged up. So very neat, good way to make your regular Certus quartz into charged, and it's very easy to automate. You'll find yourself, once you start mining, is you'll find proportionally much larger quantities of regular Certus versus charged. I would say maybe 4 to 1, 5 to 1 ratio, but that's just numbers that I'm saying based on my personal experience. So now we have flux crystal, we are a way to make charged. Let's start talking about our networking stuff. So there's 2 paths we can go down. We can go down the path of where we have a pre-existing power source like this right here, even if it's just something simple like a furnace generator, or we can go down the path where we do not have a pre-existing power source, when we are going to use a vibration chamber, which converts any burnable material into AE2 power. Now I would say most people tend to wait till they have a established power source because of the time commitment and the mining commitment that you have to make to gather up all those materials to get into AE2. You will probably have a power source by then. But if you don't, there's okay. There is a way to work around that. So first thing we're going to make is a energy acceptor. It takes iron, quartz glass. Quartz glass is just some dust. To make that dust, you can just pick another piece of nether quartz, stick it in a pulverizer. You can get this nether quartz dust. It also works just fine in the grindstone. So that's how we get some of that. And what the energy acceptor will do by itself will convert power, like it is right here, into AE2 power. So basically it's the bridge between RF and then AE2 power. Now if you don't have a pre-existing power, you can use it in the crafting recipe of a vibration chamber, which is just iron, furnace, and that energy acceptor, and that will convert, in this case, coal into that AE2 power. So you can see the 2 different lines we're going to go down. We're both going to explore both of them, but they it's just how you start. Where you use the energy acceptor is how it kind of works out. So we have power either one way or the other, either with the vibration chamber or with the pre-existing power. We have power. Now we can actually start doing a few things. Let's get rid of this, clean up the inventory just a little bit. Now we're going to start talking about and introducing the inscriber. Now I'm going to, at the end of this episode, our goal is to have a very basic but functional network. Now let's look through just some of the recipes right here, and you can kind of see what we need to make our network. We of course need a storage cell. For those unfamiliar, storage cell is what you actually will store your materials on. So you can see in this 1K it can store 1024 bytes or 63 types, or both. So this is your lowest tier that you can possibly make, and of course it's going to be the cheapest recipe. So iron, redstone, more of that quartz glass, and a storage component. Now the storage component will take Certus quartz, redstone, and this logic processor. To make these logic processors, we will need the inscriber and all those inscribing presses. So let's jump right into that. Now the inscriber does need power. So let's just use our pre-existing power right here. So we'll just pop it down there and get power from the back. Now one thing we need to do is grab the inscriber plates. I already got them down there. Now remember, we are going to be making a logic processor, and you can of course tell by the color it's probably going to be gold, right? So we're going to take logic processor, piece of gold, and you can see there's a nice little progress bar, and you can see there are some upgrade slots to make this a little faster. And now we have a printed logic circuit. So we're going to need some silicon, right? Silicon, where are you? There is that. I'm not seeing it. Oh, there we are. Now I'm seeing it. So in this pack, it actually uses the silicon from Ender.io, and there's several different ways for you to make that. Here's just a few of the recipes. Pretty neat stuff. So we're going to take our silicon press down a piece of silicon, got our printed silicon. Now let's take out this inscriber plate, grab a piece of redstone, and we're going to put it all together. Again, the progress bar is going up. And now we have our final product, which is the logic processor. And now we can actually make this storage segment right here, or storage component I should say. Pretty neat, right? So it is a little monotonous, a little bit tiring to do this, but it's very manual. But don't worry, this is AE2. There are hundreds of ways to automate the inscribers, make them fast, make them all the kind of cool stuff. And we're going to get into that, but you have to do it manually first to be able to get all of these processors. Now you can see I have 4 plates. The logic process makes the logic processor. The calculation press makes the calculation processor, and the engineering makes the engineering processor. And then of course shows you the silicon, right? So that's how you're going to get those 4 pieces out of the inscriber. So now let's take it a step further. In fact, what I'm going to do is give myself a few of each. We do need to talk about how to make calculation processors, but we'll do that in just a second because we don't need it yet. So we have all the materials that we can make the 1K storage cell, right? Let's talk about a terminal. So to make a terminal, we're going to need some of that, some glowstone, redstone, no big deal. We got the logic processor now, a formation core, again, not too bad, some Certus quartz, Flux dust, which is just a piece of Flux crystal and a pulverizer, logic processor. And same thing right there, piece of nether quartz, flux dust, and a processor. So we have all the materials that we could make this ME chest now. So we have that ME terminal and all this kind of good stuff. So let's actually set this guy down and start using it. So I am going to set down my energy acceptor and run just a piece of cable right here, that way for looks. And you can see this guy is now getting power. We can put in our 1K storage cell, and you can see this is starting to use power just like that. And now we actually can start storing our items. It does have a interface built in top. You click on the side, you actually can get to the chest, and we can actually start storing items in there. Pretty neat, right? Now I do have a network tool in my inventory. To make the network tool, it's just like this. It does take a little bit of piece and parts, but I have more of a kind of a debugging. So if I right click on here, you can see this network right now is using 3 RF, a little over 3 RF a tick. So you have to have a power supply that's going to be able to maintain 3 RF a tick. And then as our network expands, of course this number is going to go up because it's going to take more power to maintain it. Now, of course, you can cut this off if you're not using the power, or you're not using the network. You can turn it off, you know, save a little bit of power if you can, no big deal. The final thing I want to show you for this episode, when you actually want to get into making a, where's it at? I want a crafting terminal. Crafting terminal. The crafting terminal is an upgrade to the ME terminal, which allows you to use the inventory of whatever's in your network to craft things. So basically it's just a tier 2 if you want to use your stuff in your network to craft. But it needs a calculation processor. Now to make a calculation processor, you need a printed calculation circuit. To make that, you need a piece of pure Certus quartz. To make that, you can see drop a Certus quartz seed made from Certus quartz dust and sand into a puddle of water to make the process. To make the process faster, add crystal growth accelerators. So this is your first real big time commitment. So we're going to grab that, grab a piece of sand. I need, let me just grab a crafting bench. Instead of jumping back and forth. Come on. Anytime. Fine. You will see that you get Certus quartz seed. And you can actually see an item will not despawn, and then it does have a percentage on it. So what we'll do on this is throw it in a puddle of water. Now it's going to take a while, like a good little while, to be able to make this. And you noticed on the tooltip it actually did say add crystal growth accelerators to make this thing faster, if you choose. It's not mandatory, but you can do it if you want to. So you could say it's been in there for less than a minute already, right? And we're still at 0%. And of course it's got to get to 100% before we can use it. So introducing crystal growth acceleration accelerators. Iron, a flux block, which is 4 of these, and some quartz glass, and blah 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 like that. So what we can do is we can just stick one of these guys down there. It's going to need power, of course. I guess it's no longer taking straight RF power anymore. Interesting. Learn something new every day. But I do want to show you that you can only power it from certain sides. That side right there. See what I mean? No big deal. Let's actually run it over to this vibration chamber. My wiring skills were terrible there. Yep. And you can actually see on Walia now that the device is online. So basically, this is going to speed up the process of turning this into pure Certus cores. So we jump in there. So now it's already at 2%. So now the crafty type will go ahead and do something like that. And then power all the sides up to all 6 sides to make it go very fast. Now I'm not being super conservative with my cabling right now, but I'm doing it for more of an effect. So now this thing is going to be much quicker, but I venture to say we probably do not have enough power to power all these crystal growth accelerators. In fact, I can only see they're all offline now. So, be a good idea, let's say, do I have an energy acceptor on me? I do. Let's grab something like this. Bam. And you can see now they're all in line, but you can see how quickly this is using power. And unfortunately, this thing still pulls power even when there's nothing in there to grow. So keep that in mind. You can see now we're already at 20%. So we'll just finish letting these grow up. I will show you something else in here. We're not going to talk about it too much today, but there is a add-on mod that I have installed in this pack called AE2 Stuff that will allow you to take 6 of these, because 6 sides, right, and then turn it into a crystal growth chamber. Allows much easier automation, and of course it speeds it up. But we're not going to talk about A2 stuff on this video. We'll talk about it in the future. Again, we're doing the basics, all the hard labor, and going through all the monotony of getting it done. So, how are we looking? 56%. Not bad. And the items will not despawn like it said in the tooltip. So a good idea just to make yourself a puddle, throw in some seeds, and then go do something. Go mine, come back in like a couple hours or however long you're mining, and it'll still be there because it won't despawn. So it looks like it's starting to jump around. It's not quite done. I can tell by how big it is. Certus. And you can see there's actually a couple different stages and how you can tell by how big they are, how far they are grown. And you see a nice little particle effects. So we'll wait for these guys to get finished. Let me go ahead and get this set up over here. So we're going to need our calculation processor. Stick that guy in there. We're going to need a piece of redstone, and we're going to need some more silicon. So we go ahead and we'll go ahead and make the silicon first. We'll just make one of them. I grabbed 2. And go ahead and get that ready. And looks like you're finished. Which you are pure Certus cores. Now if I look over here, you can see this guy's still pulling power even though there's no work to do. So definitely disconnect it, save yourself some power. Or you could put in a switch here, or even right here, just turn this off, stop sending power. So run over here and calculation processor. that. Boom. We now have our calculation processor. So now we can make our ME crafting terminal. So you could probably just recycle your old ME terminal, throw it in with a crafting bench, get that calculation processor, and now you can have this, where you can actually use the materials in your inventory to make things. Pretty neat stuff. And you also can see our network usage of power has gone up from a little over 3 RF-tick to now 4, because it has that crafting terminal. If I were to break that, it'd be back down to 3. And you can see it's going down just a little over 3 RF-a-tick. Very cool stuff, right? So now at this point you should have a very mild network to start storing your materials in and moving on. Now I will show you one quick thing before we go, and that's called an ME drive. And what this will allow you to do is to have 8, I'll go ahead and place it down, will allow you to have, 10 of these drives installed. And they just pop in just like that. So we have a 1K, a 4K, a 16K, and then a 64K. And you can see they also have a little bit different color depending on what size they are. Pretty cool. So if you want to go straight to a drive, so while you can have lots of storage, or if you just want to crank out a chest, that way you can have very basic storage like that. Pretty cool, right? I must have spread out. Nope. And you can see right here, I'm using 3 types because I have 3 different items in there, and I'm using 48 of 1024 bytes used. So once you get to 1024, you're not going to be able to store anything. If you get to 63 types, you're not going to be able to store anymore as well. So that's where you're kind of going to have to get a drive or some more chests. That way you can continue to expand your network. So this whole process works just as well being hooked up to a vibration chamber, but you're going to have to keep feeding coal in there to make sure you still have power. So hopefully you guys enjoyed part 2. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I missed anything, I'll be sure to cover it on the next episode, and we'll kind of move further with making our network a little bit smarter and a little bit of automation. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave me some comments, and I will see you guys soon.